So, in the past few weeks, Blizzard suddenly remembered that private servers exist and decided to actually do something about it for once. Two of the biggest Classic Plus projects, Turtle WoW and Project Epoch, along with the authentic vanilla server Everlook, have all received some form of cease and desist letter. But what exactly does that mean? Are all private servers doomed now? Are they all going to shut down? Well, in this video I'm going to break it all down, explain what we do know, what we don't know, and clear up some of the nonsense that's been flying around this topic, as people do have a tendency to talk out of their ass when it comes to private servers. By the way guys, I would really appreciate it if you did check out my Instagram. I recently made a pretty big video over there that I spent a lot of time working on. It's kind of like a bittersweet look back on what it's really like to turn 30 years of age. I'll leave that video linked in the description. There's also some new info there about my recent career change, which I'm still not telling people officially on YouTube, so that people have to go to Instagram to find out. It is cheeky of me, but I do actually want to grow my Instagram, and I do want to make a lot more original content for Instagram and not just YouTube, because I do really enjoy it. So yeah, I would appreciate you guys checking out the Instagram. But anyway, I'll get on with the video. On August 29th, Turtle WoW officially received a cease and desist. For those unfamiliar, Turtle WoW is a vanilla private server that expands the classic world with new content, custom features, quality of life improvements, and over the years it has exploded in popularity, actually reportedly peaking at over 40,000 concurrent players across all servers. Now, Blizzard's official statement was pretty blunt. These unauthorized private servers drive away dedicated WoW players, introduce security risks, fragment the WoW community, and create confusion about which versions of WoW are officially supported. They also added that private servers facilitate video game piracy. So what exactly can Blizzard do here? Well, it's true that Russian hosting companies aren't bound by US court orders. Even if Blizzard wins a case in America, a Moscow-based host for servers isn't legally required to comply. Russia doesn't have strong copyright enforcement treaties with the US, whereas countries like France and Germany do. Now, the actual hosting location of Turtle WoW hasn't been confirmed, which is intentional as the way it should be. Most speculation points to Eastern Europe, though some players claim it's the UK based on latency and ping times, and personally I kind of doubt that. Just because the UK left the EU doesn't magically make it safer to host a server there. The UK still honours international copyright treaties. The important thing is, your characters and the game servers themselves can't just be wiped out overnight. Now, what Blizzard can do, however, is target domains. Turtle WoW's website, where new players sign up and where all the information is shared about the server, is reportedly hosted in the US. That makes it vulnerable. Blizzard can repeatedly force domain takedowns, and while Turtle WoW can keep, popping up new ones, it becomes a huge ball ache and a massive struggle. The big question is whether Blizzard will keep pushing and whether Turtle WoW has the stamina to resist. Blizzard can also attack their revenue streams, particularly donation shops that sell cosmetic rewards. If Turtle WoW relies heavily on that income to pay for hosting domains and other tech stuff keeping things online and development, then cutting off the cash flow could seriously threaten the project. Another problem private server teams face is real court action against them personally. Hosting a private server is a massive copyright violation, and devs can face serious legal consequences. They can mean statutory damages of up to 150k per infringement, and in some jurisdictions even potential prison time. At the very least, this is the kind of threat Blizzard lawyers will throw at them. This is why it's so important for private server teams to stay completely confidential and keep their identities hidden. Blizzard has, in the past, hired private investigators to track down the addresses of private server developers in order to deliver cease and desist letters in person. And honestly, I doubt those investigators always follow a squeaky clean legal process to get that information. But if someone has broken the law, you'd be surprised how much information, you can just get from someone because, they've kind of dicked you over. Once that line is crossed, the odds of a private server staying online drop dramatically. When your identity is exposed, it gets very real, especially if you have a family of your own. That's why, the famous vanilla server Nestarius got shut down, and it's why the follow-up server, which I believe was called Elysium, also got shut down. Blizzard have actually escalated things a little further by invoking the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, RICO for short. It's a US federal law from 1970 designed to crack down on organized crime. RICO cases are meant to prove the existence of a criminal enterprise and bring severe penalties against everyone involved. So again, what on earth does that mean? Well, Blizzard now has to prove that Turtle WoW operates as an enterprise engaged in a pattern of illegal activity. Turtle WoW does have a cash shop, a pay-for-convenience donation system, but at the end of the day, money is flowing in, it's a business, and how else do you think they can sustain a team of 100 plus people, run YouTube ads, and push out custom content at the pace that they do? It really just isn't a fan passion project anymore, and even non-profit fan projects get taken down eventually, in a lot of cases. In their lawsuit, Blizzard have even listed names of individuals allegedly involved with Turtle WoW. Whether those names are accurate is anyone's guess, but most people seem to think it is. And whether they can actually be prosecuted depends on whether they can be reliably identified. Some rumours even suggest that certain devs live in Kazakhstan.
Wow, is very nice.
You can look at this in a number of ways. You know, maybe Blizzard is bluffing, using scare tactics because they can't realistically track down the Turtle WoW devs, or maybe it's only a matter of time before someone's identity slips up and Blizzard gets a real target. Either way, if I was a Turtle WoW dev living in the US, which I know some of them are, I would be quite worried right now. That said, Turtle WoW's official statement insists they are not going anywhere, and to understand why they might survive, you have to have a look at another long-running private server. Now, Warmane, originally called Molten WoW, has been around actually since 2009, and since 2011 they've consistently pulled 15 to 20k players online and built one of the strongest private server communities out there. And this also is, yeah, it isn't a non-profit server, definitely has a massive cash shop. So, you know, they're secret, the devs have always remained anonymous, and the servers are hosted in Eastern Europe, well outside Blizzard's easy reach. When a dev team stays hidden, and the servers are not in the jurisdiction Blizzard can easily touch, the server almost always survives. Blizzard can still take down websites, sure, but if those keep popping back up, I mean, what's the point in spending endless time and money chasing them if they, you know, it doesn't actually achieve anything, and people still make accounts and log into the game. What I'm trying to say here is just because Blizzard have thrown out this lawsuit doesn't automatically mean it's the end of the world and everyone's going to get arrested. Something like that. Okay? Maybe, you know, further down the line there will be something like that, but I think the point I'm trying to come across here is that it's fairly difficult to achieve that, and Blizzard will have a massive challenge taking down this private server. Most private servers get taken down because the hosts just simply chicken out, okay? It's not a nice thing to say, but yeah, honestly, a lot of the times they just think, well, you know, I've got a wife and kids, I don't want to be in prison, I don't want to face all these fees and stuff, and they bottle out, which is fair enough, you know. It's a scary thing. I mean, you know, it's a scary thing to deal with, okay? And now onto Project Epoch and what's happening there. They also received a cease and desist, and the original Epoch team has officially stepped down. They've shut down their website, stopped development, and announced they're walking away from the project. But here's a twist. Project Epoch has already been absorbed by Ascension WoW, another massive custom WoW server, so while it looks like a shutdown on the surface, what's really happening is, you know, it's more of a merger. For now, you can still play it on the server in its current release date. The issue is that, you know, obviously some of the content is incomplete. It's unclear whether Ascension will keep developing it further. There's also quite a few bugs on the server, obviously, as it's new content, it hasn't been fully tested. And after all, you know, Ascension do have their own big custom project to focus on, so we'll just have to wait to see, you know, what happens with the future of Project Epoch, which is a shame because a lot of work has been put into that project. It would be, yeah, a massive shame to see it just, you know, crumble and not exist anymore. I mean, the good news is that the population is still holding very, very strong, even weeks after the launch. Unfortunately, the situation with Everlook is very different. That server has been completely shut down. Everlook was a true, authentic vanilla WoW server with nearly 10,000 people playing it, and that will cease to exist on September 22nd. So this is quite interesting really. In the span of a few weeks, 3 of the biggest Classic Plus and vanilla private servers have been hit by Blizzard's hammer. We haven't seen anything like this in a long time. The last major clash between, you know, Blizzard and private servers was way back when they started banning streamers for playing Endless WoW right before the TBC Classic launched, and not counting Turtle WoW's YouTube channel being taken down, I really can't think of anything else when, you know, private servers were really like, you know, trending news. It's pretty obvious why this is happening. Blizzard is clearing the field. Depending on how you look at it, this actually could be a good sign. They may be preparing to roll out their own Classic Plus project. Development on Season of Discovery has gone quiet, the servers are basically dead, and Blizzard has been sending out player surveys asking about Classic Plus. It looks very likely that something is coming, but realistically probably not until late 2026. It's also interesting that Blizzard, in their lawsuit, they demand that Turtle WoW should hand over all of their data instead of destroy it. So yes, this is a shaky, uncertain moment. The future of these passion projects is in question, but honestly, it's also an incredibly exciting time for Classic WoW. Maybe even more exciting than the original Classic WoW timeline. For the first time, there's a real chance the Classic audience could get a long-term, official option to play an old-school MMO under the World of Warcraft IP, instead of being stuck in this loop of watching the game slowly morph into retail as time goes on and new expansions released for Classic. Blizzard lost a huge chunk of their core audience years ago with all the changes they piled onto WoW, but now they might just get, the chance to win that audience back. But anyway guys, my name is Meta Goblin, and until my next video, ciao.